Hello everyone. In this video, I will discuss the simple interest. Umpisahan natin sa definition of terms. First is the lender or creditor is the person or institution who invests the money or makes the funds available. So si lender or creditor, yan yung mga tao or institution na pwede mong utangan ng pera or saan ka pwede mag-invest. Katulad ng bangko. Ayan. Next is the borrower or the debtor, person or institution who owns the money or avails the funds from the lender. Sila naman yung nangungutang doon sa lender. Origin or loan date. It is the date on which money is received by the borrower. So, kung kailan mo lang na-receive yung perang inutang mo. Next is the repayment date or the maturity date. Date on which the money borrowed or loan is to be completed and repaid. Kung kailan mo nabayaran na ng buo yung inutang mong pera kay lender. Then next is the time or term, amount of time in years the money is borrowed or invested. Length of time between the origin and the maturity date. So, kung gaano mo daw katagal i-invest or hihiramin yung pera. Then, usually, naka-years lang to, itong time and term. Next is the principal. Amount of money borrowed or invested on the origin date. So, ito yung amount ng perang hiniram mo or unang perang ininvest mo. Next is the rate. Annual rate, usually in percent, charged by the lender or rate of increase of the investment. So yung rate naman, yan yung kung gaano kataas yung i-increase ng investment mo or kung gaano daw kataas yung idadagdag dun sa perang inutang mo. Next is the interest, amount paid or earned for the use of money. So, ito naman yung tubo. Diba? Siya na yung tubo. Kung magkano yung amount na madadagdag dun sa perang inutang mo. Or kung magkano yung amount na madadagdag sa ininvest mong pera. Then, sa interest, meron tayong simple and compound interest. Si simple interest, that is the interest that is computed on the principal and then added to it. So, ito yung kung magkano yung hiniram mong pera, then kung magkano lang din yung interest o yung tubo. Then, compound interest, it is the interest that is computed on the principal and also on the accumulated past interest. So sa compound interest naman, yung interest rate natin, kada year, madadagdagan siya. Unlike kay simple interest, once lang natin siya idadagdag yung interest rate. Kahit gaano mo pa katagal, i-invest or hihiramin yung pera. Kay compound interest naman, ito yung kada taon or kahit kung gaano mo katagal in-invest yung pera, kada taon madadagdagan yung interest rate. Depende sa pera mo bawat taon. The next is the maturity value, amount after 30 years that the lender receive from the borrower on the maturity date. So, ito na yung total amount nung pera at nung tinubo ng pera mo. Pagsasamahin mo lang yun. So, simple interest. It is a type of interest that is applied to the amount borrowed or invested for the entire duration of the loan. Simple interest is generally applied to short-term loans. So, formula for the simple interest is I is equal to P times R times T, where I is equal to the simple interest, then P, it is the principal amount, then R, the annual rate, then T, time or term in years. Okay, so ito lang yung tatandaan kapag magsosolve tayo ng interest. Yan na. Interest is equal to principal times rate times time. Okay, so paano naman kapag ang hinahanap ay si principal, si rate or si time? Ano na ang magiging formula doon? So, ang tatandaan nyo lang, so gawa tayo dito ng triangle. Yan. So, yung nasa taas, andyan yung interest. Then, sa baba, nandito si principal, si rate, and si time. Diba? Kapag interest ang hinahanap, pag itong I, so ang formula lang yan, principal times rate times time. Yun nasa baba, multiply lang yan. Yan. Okay, kapag ang hinahanap naman ay si principal, so ano yung matitira dito sa triangle natin? Okay, so principal is equal to, ang nasa taas ay si I or yung interest, divided by, ang nasa baba ang natira is si rate times time. So ito na yung formula for the principal. Principal is equal to interest over rate times time. Then, kapag ang hinahanap naman ay itong si rate, so ang nasa taas ulit ay si interest. So, rate is equal to interest divided by the principal times time. So, yun lang. Then, last, kapag si time naman ang hinahanap, okay, so ang magiging formula for the time, so interest nasa taas divided by principal times rate. So, yan lang yung formula for the principal, rate, and time. So, kahit tandaan nyo lang itong ating triangle. Example 1, a bank offers 0.25% annual simple interest rate for a particular deposit. How much interest will be earned if 1 million pesos is deposited in this savings account for 1 year? Okay, so in solving word problem, so una mong gawin, alamin kung ano-ano ba yung given. Then kung ano yung hinahanap doon sa mismo problem. Okay, doon sa problem, merong given na 0.25%. That is the rate. Then, ang hinahanap dyan ay yung interest. How much interest will be earned daw? So, yung I ang nawawala. If 1 million pesos is deposit. So, yung first amount na nilagay doon sa savings account is 1 million. So, siya yung principal. And then, gaano katagal daw din deposit? 1 year. So, ito yung ating time. Okay, so ang given, sulat lang natin, yung rate is 0.25%. Then, yung principal ay 1 million. Then, yung time is 1 year. So, ang hinahanap ngayon ay yung interest. So, yan yung nawawala. Okay. So, sa rate, since naka-percent pa siya, gawin muna natin yung decimal. So, si 0.25%, i-divide mo lang yan sa 100 or move na lang tayo ng dalawa pa sa left side. Move tayo ng dalawa. Okay, so ang magiging rate natin ay 0.0025. So, yan yung i-input natin sa ating formula. Then, formula for the interest. So, ang hinahanap ay interest. So, P times rate times time. Okay, so ilagay lang natin lahat ng given doon sa formula. Ang principal ay 1 million. 1 million times rate. Ang rate natin ay 0.0025 times time. So, ang time natin is 1 year. So, 1 lang yan. Okay, so multiply na yan agad. So, 1 million times 0.0025 times 1. So, ang makukompute natin dyan is 2,500. So, ang interest daw ang tinubo after 1 year, dun sa 1 million pesos ay 2,500 pesos. So, ito na yung ating magiging final answer. In next example, how much interest is charged when 50,000 pesos is borrowed for 9 months at an annual simple interest rate of 10%? So, meron daw hiniram na pera na 50,000 pesos for 9 months. Okay, so ano-ano ba muna yung given? Sulat natin. Okay, so given, so ang principal natin or yung hiniram na pera ay si 50,000 pesos. Then, hiniram yan ng 9 months. Okay, so since naka-months pa rin yung time natin or term, gagawin natin yung years. Kasi dapat lagi siya naka-years. So, kung 9 yan, i-divide natin yan sa 12. Kasi meron tayong 12 months sa isang taon. So, 9 divided by 12 is 0.75. So, ito ngayon yung gagamitin natin sa computation, yung 0.75. Then, yung rate natin ay si 10%. So, 10% ulit, divide natin sa 100 or move lang tayo ng dalawa. Diba, ang point ng 10 nandito. Okay, so move tayo ng dalawa, magiging 0.1 or 0.10. 0.1. Then, ang hinahanap ay si interest. How much interest daw? Okay, so input natin sa formula ng interest. So, ang interest natin ay principal times rate times time. Then, ang principal is 50,000 times rate. Ang rate natin ay 0.1. Then, yung time is 0.75. Yan. So, compute lang ulit. Input natin sa calcu. 50,000 times 0.1 times 0.75. So, ang mako-compute natin dyan ay 3,750. So, ito ngayon yung magiging tubo dun sa hiniram na 50,000 pesos for 9 months. Okay, next. How much borrowed if the interest at 12% after 6 months is 1,500? Okay, so magkano daw yung hiniram? So, ang nawawala ngayon ay yung principal amount. Diba? So, ano-ano yung given? So, ang given dyan is yung interest rate na 12%. 12%. Or 0. Divide yan sa 100 or 0.12 na lang. Then, yung time ay 6 months. 6 months. So, si 6 months, di-divide natin sa 12. 6 divided by 12 is 0.5. Okay. Then, yung interest daw after 6 months is 1,500. So, yung I is 1,500. So, ang hinahanap ngayon is yung principal. So, ano ang formula for the principal? P is equal to interest divided by rate times time. So, input lang natin yung mga given sa formula. Ang interest natin is 1,500 divided by, yung rate natin is 0.12 times time. Ang time naman natin is 0.5. So, input lang natin lahat yan sa ating calculator. So, 1,500 divided by 0.12 times 0.5. So, ang mako-compute natin dyan is 25,000 pesos. Yan. So, ito ngayon yung ating magiging principal amount. So, yan yung hiniram niyang pera ng 6 months. Okay. Okay, so para sa mga walang cycle, ang gamit ay sa cellphone lang, Para kung gusto nyo dire-diretso ang pag-input sa CalQ, pwede naman natin gawin yon. Pero gagamit kayo ng parentheses. Okay, for example, dito sa numerator na 1,500, so lagay ka ng parentheses dyan. Open parentheses 1,500 divided by 0.12 times 0.5. Yan. Gagamit ka ng parentheses sa numerator and denominator. Or kahit input nyo ng ganito. Okay, so sulat ko na lang. Okay, so open parentheses 1,500 close parentheses divided by, so parentheses ulit, 0.12 times 0.5. Then equal. So ito lang din yung kalalabasan ng ating answer dyan. Ganun lang ang tandaan. Kung walang fraction doon sa calculator na ginagamit ninyo, pwede kayong gumamit ng parentheses for both numerator and denominator. Okay, next example. If an entrepreneur applies for a loan amounting 250,000 pesos in a bank, the simple interest of which is 60,000 pesos for 3 years. What interest rate is being charged? Okay, so dito nag-apply daw ng loan na 250,000 pesos. Then, yung interest or yung tubo daw for 3 years ay 60,000 pesos. Ang hinahanap ay yung interest rate. So, magkano daw or ilang percent daw yung interest rate na ginamit dun sa loan. Okay, so ano-ano ba yung mga given? Okay, so yung principal amount natin or yung P is 250,000 pesos. And then yung interest or yung tinubo ay 60,000 pesos. Then yung time or term ay 3 years. So naka-years na siya agad, so hindi nyo na kailangan pa i-convert. Okay, so ang hinahanap ay yung interest rate. So yung R. Then formula for DR ay is equal to interest divided by principal times time. Okay, so ang interest natin ay 60,000 pesos over ang principal ay 250,000 pesos times time. Ang time natin ay 3 years times 3. Okay, so input lang ulit yan sa ating calculator. Okay, so 60,000 pesos divided by 250,000 times 3. So, ang mako-compute natin dyan ay 0.08. So, ito ngayon yung magiging rate. Or, since rate yan, kailangan naka-percent. So, paano gagawin percent? Si 0.08. Multiply natin sa 100 times 100. Or, move na lang tayo ng 2 point. Yan. Okay, so magiging 8% ngayon yung ating interest rate. So, ito yung magiging final answer. Okay, so, or kapag in-input natin to sa CalQ, pwede tayo ulit gumamit ng parentheses. Parentheses ulit kay numerator, then parentheses kay denominator. Ganun lang. 0.08 din ang makukuha nyo answer doon. Next, complete the table below by finding the unknown. So, dito, binigay na agad yung mga given. So, kukumputin na lang natin agad. Okay, yung first, so, dun sa A, ang hinahanap ay yung principal. So, ang interest rate ay 3.5%. Yung time is 4 years. Then, yung interest is 1,800. So, ang formula for the principal, since principal yung hinahanap dito kay A, natin dyan, is equal to interest divided by rate times time. Okay, so, yung interest natin ay 1,800. So, 1,800 divided by Ang rate natin is 3.5%. Or move tayo ng dalawang point. So, magiging 0.035. Okay, so 0.035 times time. Ang time natin ay 4 years. So, naka-years na siya agad. Okay, so input na lang natin agad si 4. Okay, so compute natin yung ating principal amount. Okay, so divide 1,800 divided by 0.035 times 4. So, equal to kay 12,857.14. So, ito ang ating magiging final answer. Ito yung ating principal amount. Okay. So, next, yung B naman. So, dito, ang hinahanap ay sulat natin dito, 12,857.14. So, yung B naman, hinahanap dyan is si rate. Then, yung given, ang principal ay 36,000 pesos. Yung time is 1.5 years. Then, yung interest ay 4,860. So, formula for the rate, interest divided by principal times time. So, input lang natin agad lahat. So, yung given interest is 4,860 divided by, ang principal is 36,000 times time. Yung time natin is 1.5. Okay, so lagay na lang natin agad. Okay, then solve. So, kapag in-input natin sa ating calc yan, ang magiging answer is 0.09 or times natin sa 100 or move tayo ng dalawang point. So, ang makukuha nating interest ay 9%. So, ang rate natin is 9%. Okay, so 9% yung nakalagay dito. Yeah. Okay, so next, yung C naman. Ang hinahanap ay yung time. Okay, so ang given, so formula for the time, interest divided by principal times rate. Okay, so ang interest natin sa third question is 3,000. Then yung principal is 150,000. Then yung rate ay 0.5% or again, divide natin into 100 or move tayo ng dalawa. So, magiging 0.005. Okay, so 0.005. Okay, so compute ulit. Input natin sa ating CalQ. Okay, so ang makukuhang answer dyan is 4. So, exactong 4. So, the time is 4 years. Okay, so 4 years ang nakalagay dito. Okay, so last, ang hinahanap dito ay yung interest. So, ang interest or formula for the interest, principal times rate times time. Multiply lang lahat. Okay, so ang given principal ay 500,000. Okay, so wait lang, baka hindi magkasya. Okay, so 500,000 times rate. Ang rate natin ay 12.5% or move ulit tayo ng dalawa sa left. Magiging 0.125 times, ano yung time? Ang time natin is 1 year and 3 months. So, si 3 months, i-convert pa natin yan into years. So, 3 divided by 12. Okay, so 3 divided by 12 is equal to 0.25. So, ang magiging time natin or years ay 1.25 kasi 1 year and 3 months. So, 1.25. So, multiply lang yan lahat. 500,000 times 0.125 times 1.25. So, ang makukuha ang answer ay 78,125. So, ito ngayon yung ating interest. Okay, so, 78,125. Okay? Okay, so next is the maturity value. So maturity value, that is the total amount of money in a savings account after 3 years at an interest rate. So si maturity value, ito na yung total amount nung ininvest mong pera or yung hiniram mong pera kasama na yung tubo. Yan, kasama na yung tubo or yung interest. Okay, so formula for the maturity value. So meron tayong dalawa. Po pwedeng F equals P plus I. Si F, that is the maturity value. So, kapag given si principal, tsaka si interest, i-add nyo na lang, siya na yung magiging ating future value. Then, pwede rin namang gamitin formula na F is equal to principal times 1 plus R times time. Kapag hindi naman given yung ating interest, pwede ito yung ating gamitin. Okay? Okay, so example number 6. John makes an investment by lending 120,000 pesos to Mark for 2 years at an interest rate of 8% per annum. Per annum means per year, once a year lang. What is the maturity value of the investment? So dito hindi lang interest yung hinahanap natin o hindi lang yung tubo. Ibig sabihin kung magkano na yung total amount na babayaran ni John doon kay Mark after 2 years. Okay, so what are the given? So, sulat natin yung mga given. Okay, so yung principal amount natin is 120,000. Then, yung time is 2 years. Then, yung interest rate ay 8% or 0.08. So, ang hinahanap ay CF or the maturity value. Okay, since hindi given si interest, pwede natin gamitin formula CF is equal to P times 1 plus R times time. Ayan. Okay, so input lang natin lahat ng given. Si P, that is 120,000 times 1 plus yung R natin or yung rate ay 0.08 times time. So, ang time natin is 2. Yan. Okay, so input lang natin sa formula ay sa calculator natin yan, lahat ng yan. Or pwede naman natin isa-isahin. Okay, so pwede natin unahin yung nandito sa loob ng parentheses. Okay, so 0.08 times 2 is equal to 0.16. Then 0.16 plus 1 is 0.16. So, sulat ko lang. 1.16. Yan. Then, multiply na yan. So, ang makukuha nating amount ay 139,200 pesos. So, ito na ngayon yung ating magiging maturity value. Okay, ganun lang. Okay, so next example, we have find the maturity value if 1 million pesos is deposited in a bank at an annual simple interest rate of 0.25% after 5 years. Okay, so sulat muna natin ano-ano ba yung given. Okay, so ang given is yung 1 million pesos, that is the principal amount. So 1 million. And then, the annual simple interest rate, or yung rate natin ay 0.25% or 0.0025. Then yung time is 5 years. So, ang hinahanap ulit ay yung ating future or the maturity value. Okay, for formula for the maturity value, principal times 1 plus rate times time. Okay, so substitute lang natin lahat ng given. So, kay principal, ang ilalagay natin dyan ay 1 million times 1 plus, yung rate natin ay 0.0025, then yung time is 5 years, times 5. Okay, so solve lang yan, or input natin sa ating calculator. Ang makukuha nating answer ay 1,012,500. So, 1,012,500. So, yan yung ating magiging final answer or yung maturity value. Okay, so next example, determine the simple interest rate if an investment of 500 pesos, 500,000 pesos accumulates to 587,500 pesos in 30 months. Okay, so dito sa given problem, ang hinahanap daw ay yung interest rate. Okay, so yung percent of an investment of 500,000 pesos. So, yung 500,000 pesos, that is yung principal. Yan yung first amount eh. Yan yung amount na in-invest. Then, accumulates to naging 587,500. So, ito naman yung ating future value in 30 months. Then, si 30 months, yan yung ating time. Okay, so sulat natin yung mga given. Okay, so yung principal ay 500,000. Then, yung future value natin ay 587,500. Then, yung time ay yung 30 months. Okay, so since naka-months pa yung ating time, okay, di-divide natin yan sa 12. Okay, so 30 divided by 12 is 2.5. So, ito yung gagamitin natin. Then, ang hinahanap ay yung interest rate. So, ano ba ang formula for the interest rate? Diba? Ang rate natin ay interest divided by principal times time. Eh, hindi naman given yung time, ay yung interest. So, anong gagawin? Ipagmaminus natin yung principal tsaka itong future value. Diba? From 500,000 pesos, naging 587,500. Ibig sabihin, yung sumobra, yan yung interest, yung itinubo. So, kung ipagmaminus mo yan, ang matitira dyan ay, so yung magiging interest ay 87,500. So, pwede natin yan gamitin to compute the rate. Okay, so sa interest, meron tayong 87,500 divided by the principal. So, ang principal ay 500,000 times time. Yung time natin ay 2.5. Okay. So, input lang natin yan sa ating calcu. So, again, kung ang gamit mo lang is yung normal calculator na walang fraction, gamit ka ng parentheses sa numerator and denominator. Okay, so ang makukuha nating answer dyan, or yung rate ay 0.07. Or kailangan naka-percentage yan. Multiply natin sa 100 or move tayo ng 2 point sa right, pa-right naman. Okay, so ang makukuha nating rate ay 7%. So, ito yung ating final answer. Okay, so next example, complete a table below by finding the unknown. Okay, so nakasulat na agad yung given. So, input lang natin agad sa formula kung ano yung hinahanap. Okay, so doon sa first row, so ang given, ang principal ay 60,000. Yung rate is 4% or pwede yung 0.04. Then, yung time, so naka-years na to agad. So, automatic, lahat ng nandito is naka-years. So, 15 years. Then, so, hahanapin daw natin si interest tsaka si maturity value. Okay. So, pwede natin computein muna si interest since given si principal, rate, tsaka si time. Okay. So, yung A muna. Okay. So, to compute for the interest, kailangan lang natin si principal, rate, and time. So, ang principal natin is 60,000. Then, yung rate natin is 4% or 0.04. Then, yung time is 15 years. So, 15. Okay, so, multiply lang lahat ng yan. So, ang makukuha nating answer ay 36,000 pesos. So, 36,000. So, ito yung ating interest. Okay? So, yan na yung tubo. So, about the maturity value. Since given na yung interest, pwede natin gamitin yung isang formula ni maturity value na principal plus the interest. Diba? So, ang given principal ay 60,000. Ang na-compute naman nating interest ay 36,000. So, i-add lang natin yan. So, ang total amount magiging 96,000 pesos. So, ito ngayon yung maturity value. Okay? So, next. Okay, so dito, ang hinahanap naman ay yung principal tsaka si maturity value. So, ang given lang is si rate, time, at interest. Okay, so unahin natin i-solve si principal. Okay, so C. So, to solve for the principal, ang formula for the principal, interest divided by rate times time. So, yung given interest dito ay 15,000. So, 15,000 divided by, yung rate natin ay 12% or 0.12. So, 0.12 times time, ang time naman ay 5. So, 5 years. Okay, so input lang natin sa ating calculator. Or, kung walang cycle, gamit tayo ng parenthesis dyan sa numerator and denominator. Okay, ang makukuhang answer ay 25,000. So, ang principal natin ay 25,000. Okay, so next is the future value or the maturity value. Since given si principal at interest, pwede natin yung ipag-add na lang. Principal plus the interest. Okay, so ang principal ay 25,000. Then, yung interest ay 15,000. So, 25,000 times 15,000 is 40,000. So, ito yung ating pagiging future value or the maturity value. Okay? So, last. So, dito, ang hinahanap naman ay yung rate tsaka yung interest. Okay, so hanapin muna natin yung rate or interest. Yeah. Okay, so sa rate, okay, ang formula for the rate ay rate is equal to interest over principal times time. Okay, so since hindi pa natin pwedeng isolve si rate kasi wala pa tayong interest. So, try muna natin hanapin yung interest. So, for the interest, or yung tubo. Given na si principal at saka si maturity value, pwede mo na lang ipag-minus yan. Okay, so 59,500 minus 50,000. Okay, so magkano ngayon yung itinubo or yung interest? Meron tayong 9,500. Okay, so ito na ngayon yung gagamitin natin to compute the rate. Okay, so interest is 9,500 over ang principal ay 50,000 times time. Ang given time is 2 years. So, times 2. Okay, so compute ulit. So, ang makukuha natin dyan ay 0.095 or times natin yan into 100 or move tayo ng dalawa. So, nandito yung ating point. So, equal yan kay 9.5%. So, yun yung ating interest rate, 9.5%.